Coming up on American Medicine Today, a new adaptation of the Left Behind book series is set to premiere in theaters later this month. Actor, director, and producer Kevin Sorbo returns to the show to discuss why this film is important now more than ever. Then Michael returns to the Bonati Spine Institute nearly 10 years after his first successful surgery. See how the patented Bonati Spine Procedures were able to fix Michael's latest issues and keep him pain-free. Finally, Dr. Bonati discusses many of the hot topic social dilemmas following us into this new year. Where should conservatives focus their energy in order to turn the current corrupt government around? Find out coming up on American Medicine Today.
Featuring cutting-edge science and medical innovation, touching personal stories of recovery from pain, along with political, social, and healthcare issues plaguing our nation. This is American Medicine Today, brought to you by the Bonati Spine Institute and Alfred Bonati, MD.
Welcome to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bonati alongside Ethan Youker and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonati. So a new film adaptation of the classic Left Behind book series is set to premiere in January, and it stars actor, director, producer, and friend of the show, Kevin Sorbo. Thank you for joining us.
Good to be here, guys.
There's a lot to get into. Why don't you first tell us about Left Behind for those that are unfamiliar, and can you kind of describe the premise?
Well, Left Behind was there were books written by Tim LaHaye and Jerry Jenkins, and Jerry Jenkins actually is the father of Dallas Jenkins, who's doing quite well with The Chosen right now. But I worked my first really faith-based movie was 12 years ago in 2010. I shot with Dallas called What If. In my book, I've shot over 70 movies. In my book, it's in my top three. Same writers that did God's Not Dead. God's Not Dead Explode was very successful. But I highly recommend What If. But the Left Behind books. Been around a long time. The company that owns the rights to them are based out of Canada, out of Toronto, called Cloud 10. And they came to me about 7 or 8 years ago saying they want to do the next one with me. Well, they ran into some sort of legal issues that kept things going in court for a while, but now that's done. So we finally shot it a year ago right now. In fact, this was a year ago this week that we wrapped filming it. And it deals with the rapture and what happens after the second coming. And so this book is called Rise of the Antichrist, which the book Revelation mentions where after the rapture, there will become a political figure that becomes so powerful around the world, but he's really the Antichrist, basically the son of Satan. And so this is the beginning of that, because we're going to shoot another one later this year, or next year, I should say. But the movie opens January 26th. It's Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist. People can go to leftbehindmovie.com to see where it's showing near them. We have 1,100 screens across America starting on the weekend of the 26th. So I hope people support this movie. It's a wonderful movie, and certainly with 80 million books sold out there, there's a lot of fans out there.
As far as the Antichrist goes, a lot of people on the left were screaming that Donald Trump was the Antichrist. And I know, as everyone on the show is, you as well are a big supporter of Donald Trump. Let's jump into the current political climate. What do you think about the Biden, as Kimberly likes to say, regime, and how they've been handling things or destroying things in the past 2 years?
I think we all pretty much know how they're doing. It's unbelievable. I mean, you look at what the Antichrist Trump did. He only made black unemployment and Hispanic unemployment the lowest in history. He closed down the border. He made us energy independent. But gas would be $1.80 a gallon right now if he was still in office. There would not be the war in Ukraine. There's all kinds of things that wouldn't have happened. But we have such an uneducated, ignorant society stemmed from our wonderful public education system through our universities. So. This is the battle we have right now. I mean, we have a voting system that's completely fractured and broken. There's been voter fraud for decades and decades, but the reality is now they don't care how blatant and obvious it is. And the two things we need to get rid of is get rid of the racist look at voter ID. Anybody can get an ID. Mm-hmm. So let's not. The Democrats are telling the black population of America that they're too stupid and ignorant to be able to get an ID. And number two, we need to get rid of the mail-in voting. That's absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I live in Florida here. We got the best governor in the country with DeSantis. Yes. And here's a guy that, a state that's about 6 or 7 times the population of Arizona. And yet, we knew the results in one day. And yes. Once again, in the state of Arizona, along with Pennsylvania and all that, where all kinds of glitches happen, all kinds of weird things. So
the Democrats never will release this holdup that they have. They're bringing a lot of people to this country with the idea they are going to continue voting on them. They are wrong, because the people that are bringing over, they are very much people that they believe in God, they believe in religion, they believe in work, they believe in education, and they believe in responsibility. Probably the first generation is going to change. It already happened with the people who came from Cuba. If you look at the Cubans, this first and second generation are all Republicans. So we need to educate the people that they come, but at the same time, we need to make accountable people. Otherwise, this is a joke.
We need to wake up the world. I mean, the trouble is the sheep are going to be the sheep. We need the lions to not be afraid to come out, because the favorite weapon of government is fear. That's what they love to use to control our lives. And you saw it really in full face on us during the COVID.
Yes.
Everything they created was opposite of what was really going on with it. And we need, not only in the education system, I mentioned earlier how broken it is, but we need people to get out there and fight the good fight, not be afraid to stand up for it, not be afraid to lose their jobs, not be afraid to lose their friends. Because if they lose their friends by having a different point of view, then they weren't friends to begin with. Here's the thing. I still got atheist friends, I got agnostic friends, I got liberal friends. We have great discussions. We still go golfing together. We still hang out and have a beer afterwards. We can give each other a hard time. The trouble is the small minority of the people on the left have so much power right now, and they control everything. And, thank God what Elon Musk is doing, exposing the corruption on Twitter. I wish he had money to buy Facebook, because Facebook took me down a year and a half ago for exposing the truth. In fact, everything I said back 2 years ago, I could say today, because they're backtracking now, right? They're starting to realize that, maybe we're wrong about this, maybe we're wrong about that. So I'm just trying to put up the good fight with people and say, hey, don't be afraid to fight the government. Don't be afraid to remind people it's called we the people. But as you mentioned with the Democrat Party, every time we give them more power, they're not going to give it up. They keep inching along, and people are just so, I don't know. I think apathy is one of the biggest killers in America right now. And people got to start fighting and not be afraid to speak up. But people just go, oh, what can I do? Well, you can do something by speaking up, because enough is enough. And I think people are starting to wake up, thank God.
Well, you started talking about how we're basically living through Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, we have loss of moral values when it comes to kids. We're trying to show children drag queen shows. We think it's part of the curriculum they should be learning. You have puberty blockers, critical race theory, trans propaganda. Why don't you tell us your take?
Kirk Cameron's a good friend of mine, and we actually were neighbors back in California for about 10 years before we got out of the state 4 years ago. He now has a wonderful book, feels it's got morals, got values, it's got all that. Well, the public libraries won't let him come and speak, but we'll let men, full-grown men in drag, wearing high heels and putting in fake boobs, go in there and read books about being queer. It's just very strange. If you're going to do that, then fine. Then let anybody and everybody with a point of view go in and read these libraries, and let parents decide for themselves if this is what they want to do. One of the blessings of COVID, it really opened up parents to realize the public school system is not a great place to use as a babysitting service. And 2 million more people now are being homeschooled. 2 million more kids. We're homeschool advocates. My wife speaks on all the time. She's got a great book out there called They're Your Kids.
Yes.
And so, in fact, people go to sorbostudios.com to see a lot of stuff we got coming in the pipeline. I got to throw this in right now. It's sorbostudios.com. My wife and I are hosting a trip to Israel in May. So if you've never been to Israel, walking the footsteps of Jesus, please join us. We still have a few slots left open. It's sorboisraeltrip.com. We're going in May. It's a trip of a lifetime, guys. So please check it out.
In closing, any predictions for 2024? Obviously, Trump, the man that we support, we want to see him come back. What's going to happen? It seems like a lot of the GOP is sort of backtracking some of the support. What are your thoughts on 2024?
Well, they backtracked on Reagan too. When you get anybody in there that actually wants to follow the Constitution, I mean, we have so many rhinos out there, that. And so we need to, support these guys. I'm all for Trump running back in there again. Why not? I think you should have DeSantis as his running mate, or Kerry Lake, for crying out loud. I mean, there's so many great people that could possibly be his running mate. So let's see what happens. But I mean, I'm praying that people wake up. We get rid of voter fraud. It's no more mail-in voting, and have a real vote, and not be a puppet country. I keep telling people they think socialism and communism is good. Nobody mentioned Cuba. Nobody's taking votes from Key West to Cuba. Nobody's rushing the Mexican border to get into Mexico. So there's reasons for that. We got people from Venezuela flooding in our country because they know how the horrors of communism. So we need those people that are here in the country that have lived through that to come to America and go speak at our schools.
Amen, my friend. Love hearing you speak. It reaffirms my faith that we have individuals like you trying to show life-affirming and Christ following movies. Thank you for your productions. We appreciate
Thank
you,
you.
and we'll have you back soon. Our friend Kevin Sorbo, thank you for being on the program.
Thanks, Kevin.
LeftBehindMovie.com.
Make sure you stay tuned. Coming up after the break, a story of recovery. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine Procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented the precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine Procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 75,000 procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Visit askbonati.com.
I'm Michael McDonald.
Michael is a returning guest of the Bonati Spine Institute. 10 years ago, he underwent the first of his recommended surgeries. Now he's back to address a different level in his lumbar spine.
I served 30 years. I was in the Army Rangers. I was in the airborne trooper, jumped out of airplanes, that kind of thing. Jumped out, landed on land, landed in water, landed wherever, we could land. Our packs, our backpacks, our rucksacks, they were easily 75 pounds. And those are things that we would carry 3-4 days a week for training, and then weeks at a time out in the field. CrossFit has been my thing for a long, long time. I found it, probably 15 years ago.
Back and sciatic pain started to affect Michael's daily life, including his ability to walk long distances, to exercise, and to perform his job as a highly trained soldier.
In 1994, when I was stationed down in Panama, Castro from Cuba had released a lot of people from prison. Again, a second boat lift. This time the United States intercepted those people and they took them to Panama.
When these prisoners learned they were being sent back to Cuba, a riot broke out while Michael was working at the holding facility.
I was very badly beaten. When all that was done, I had a lot of problems. Pain was in my lower back. And what it felt like was like there was an iron bar between my hip bones. And it was impossible for me to bend forward or backwards. And I would have horrible sciatic down my left side. I lived a life, but it wasn't a great life. Yes, pain constantly, just all the time. I was basically living on 800 milligram Motrin. Well, I'd say at least 20 years. Maybe not quite that long, but pretty much. When you have that kind of pain in your daily life, you wind up managing that pain. And you spend most of your day managing the pain. Like, I know I can only walk this way. I have to take Motrin, at this time. And I can't really go out and do that, so I need to do this instead. It's all those accommodations you make for your behavior throughout the day. And then one day you just go, I'm not really living a life here. When you wake up and you live in chronic pain for years and years and years, and you think that there's no end in sight, that there's no way that you're getting better, that this is it, and you're 42 years old, 45 years old, and you think, I have another however long left, and every day is going to be like this, you start thinking bad things.
As his pain worsened, Michael went to the VA. They offered him physical therapy, and when that didn't help, they told him he needed a spinal fusion.
You never see the same doctor twice. Every time you go to the doctor, you have to start all over again, and they always want to start you with physical therapy, which I completely understand, but once you've done it 4 or 5 times, how much more is it really going to help you? They did want to do surgery on me. They wanted to, completely open up my back and go in there and fuse this and graft that and whatever else and, hardware that they wanted to put in me. And I'm just like, none of this jives with what I know about the body, about physiology, about exercise, about, anatomy. None of this really sounds right to me. So, whether I'm right or wrong at this point, I'm just going to live with it. So the military was ready to put me out. I was at the point, I was in pain so much that I was unable to perform the things that I needed to do in my job. And they were, in the process of what they call a medical board, what they wanted to do, and, medical retirement for me, so on and so forth. So I was really urgently looking for something to save my career.
That's when a friend told him about the Bonati Spine Institute, and he decided to call for an appointment.
I walked in there and it was just like, nothing like when you walk into a normal doctor's office. It was, people cared about me. They knew my name. They knew who I was. They knew why I was there. There was never any doubt for me after that first day that this was the place for me. When I came in to see for my initial, consultation, they sent me on site back for my, for all my pictures, for my X-rays and my MRI. Also, all my blood work was right on site. Everything is all one stop right there. He has a very professional clinic that is fully encompasses everything that you need right there, and you don't have to go anywhere for anything. I mean, the images were up at the main building before I walked back up there. In comes Dr. Bonati. Gosh, just the way he does things is so amazing. He puts the pictures up there and he's like, I'm gonna tell you where you hurt, And he's like, this is what's going on, this is where it is. And it was like, well, yes, that's exactly it. And he said, and this is what we're gonna do. You have multiple areas where you have issues, but you can only feel this one because it's so drastic. So we're gonna fix that one. He's like, but you're gonna need to fix these others at some point. We're gonna make this really, really small hole, and and then we're gonna go in there. We're gonna fix it. And I was like, that's perfect. I really felt like the Bonati Spine Institute. Everybody there, like I said, they really cared. And when you, when you're in that kind of pain for that many years, when you think you have no hope, and you walk into a place and there's hope, it makes you feel, it makes you feel really good.
Hearing the exclusive Bonati Spine procedures never use hardware of any kind and are performed incrementally, Michael knew he found the right surgeon and scheduled his first procedure.
He was in there and he was doing the surgery, and I was awake for it. And, and I remember him, I could feel every once in a while him in my back, but nothing tragic. Once there's nothing pinching on it, yeah, the relief is pretty much instantaneous. If I had known how easy it was to get rid of this back pain, and to feel good again, I never would have lived all those years with it. I would have gone to see Dr. Bonati like way sooner.
Out of the excruciating pain that limited his ability to live and work, he decided to delay his next procedure. Now, 10 years later, a new pain started impacting his daily life. But this time, Michael knew exactly who to call for help.
I started to feel pain again, like he told me I was going to do. This one's a little different, this last one. It was a little higher up. L3, L4, I think, on the left side is where it was. This one was a little different because it wouldn't bend me over and lock me up and like I can't move. It was kind of like a starburst effect. When it would hit, it was like pain would radiate everywhere, like up my back, up the sides, down, everywhere. But no sciatica on that one. But it was more and more often, and it was just getting more and more, again, I was just like, once again, I'm back here to this point where I'm managing my day again, right? Okay, it's time to make a phone call.
Due to the use of conscious IV sedation, thousands of patients like Michael know the source of their pain is gone while they are still on the operating table.
Do what hurts the here. No pain? Nope. All right, man. You got it. In the recovery room, I'm sitting there, and Dr. Bonati came out after he'd finished a couple other procedures. And he came over to shake my hand, and I just stood up. And I shook his hand instead of kind of, assisting myself to stand up. I was just able to stand up, and I remember that. And I told him that at the time. I was like, well, I haven't been able to do that in a while. I feel great. Day to day, I feel amazing.
At the Bonati Spine Institute, patients return to normal life without the need for uncomfortable braces or time-consuming physical therapy. Instead, they are recommended a simpler solution.
No back braces were, I wasn't asked to wear a back brace at all. What the doctor told me to do was to get up and walk. And that was something that really, when we initially first spoke, that really resonated inside of me, because I don't see how you have a surgery and then you just lay around and get better, And I understand recovery. I understand it very well from an athletic point of view. But getting up and movement When he said, that's what I need you to do, I was like, yes, absolutely. Get up and walk every day. I can do that. I mean, it's a new lease on life, basically, you know, for everything, you know, everything that you want to do, you know, to be a husband, to be a father, to be a man, you know, to be, you know, to do the career that you've chosen. Yeah, he gave all that back to me.
I think everybody was shocked, like, really, you had surgery today? I had a drain tube. I was at my desk doing payroll for 200 employees, worked till night, got up, went to bed.
We went to the Bonati Institute, and that was the day, the turning point in my life. This type of surgery is so much more advanced, and the recovery time is so much less that it's just a no-brainer. If you've got pain, go to Bonati.
This is the honest to God truth. And was recovering, I didn't feel anything. The pain that I was suffering is gone. I can go back to work in like 3 days.
The surgeries that I had, actually, I recovered very easily from, I would say. I actually went to work the following afternoon.
6 days after surgery, I was back in the gym, slowly but surely working my way back to fighting, back to basically 100% of fighting, you know? So 6 days, and everybody was in awe, like, didn't you just get out of surgery? I'm like, yeah, I feel great. And like, okay, let's see how you do. And I was bowling with everybody, and I'm in the advanced class. So that sounds a lot right there.
First time I came in here was Monday, and today is Thursday. I've had 2 surgeries and am doing fantastic. I'm still in shock that I can walk. That's all within 4 days.
Bonati succeeds where others fail.
Welcome back to American Medicine Today. So, Doc, you're so passionate about why socialism and communism should never take a foothold here in the United States.
It is totally against the breed of an American citizen to really even consider socialism. Socialism and communism is the same thing.
Yes.
It's like a man with a different suit, that's all.
Yes.
The major problem is we already have a little bit of taste of governmental control. The damage that COVID did is not really a damage from COVID. It's a damage from manipulation of the government to try to control the population. They destroy business. They destroy individuals. They destroy situations of work. They create health problems.
Right.
People die.
You're talking from the shutdowns when they closed everything down.
Yes.
Yes.
Fact that they put healthy people in the nursing homes despite that they were old, and they mix with people that they were contaminated.
Yes.
The lack of accountability of this government and this legal system and this political system that we are surviving today is beyond what I can really believe an American will tolerate. We have laws that they can protect. The problem is the courts are corrupted. We have knowledge that we can expand. The problem is the news are corrupted. We have individuals that we elect to represent us. They are corrupted. And we need to have two types of an attitude, or just be hypocritical and say, well, that is politics. But don't forget, you're going to pay with your life, because you're going to pay with the education of your children.
Right.
You're going to pay with the indoctrination of those children that are going to suffer the results of bad healthcare and bad education. Everything that they do is a total control of population.
Yes. When they make these comments and these rules for everyone to follow, if you look at these quote-unquote elected leaders, they do the complete opposite.
Yeah. In this charade of January the 6th, that's a joke. And we know it's is a joke. The whole country knows it's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And we are spending millions of dollars supporting that type of a lie.
Right.
And the worst part of it is not only we're paying with our taxes, but at the same time, an innocent people is sitting in jail and nobody is doing anything.
Correct.
And I don't understand, where are our representatives? Where are the people that we elect, that we put money to get on the government, and they don't do anything? They talk, but they don't do anything. I am so totally amazed to see how much tolerance the American citizen has.
Mm-hmm. I think they're starting to wise up and starting to gain strength to try to rectify the havoc that has been brought into our country.
This waking up is not going anywhere. The waking up needs to be grab somebody from their hair and put them in jail. That is waking up. Okay? That is go with the same police that got inside of the house of my president, okay, and rape his house, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. Mm-hmm. So it's shameful to see how tame the population is.
Yes.
And how cowardly we behave.
But how do we change it? So you mention all this, and what you're saying is true, and we shouldn't let it take a foothold. But what can we do?
That's why we elect people to do that. But the corruption of both parties, because self-serving situations, is enormous. They don't do anything. Okay, how is it possible that a court that they would be elected by Donald Trump, the higher courts, they vote against him and allow this thing to happen that is totally unconstitutional to raid the house of a president? It's against the law.
They perpetuate the false narrative of January 6th. I mean, we were all there. We saw the police move the barriers. When President Trump wanted to protect that area, Pelosi and her cronies said no. So they allowed it. They ushered people in, and then they try to blame Trump.
There was a planned thing. Donald Trump is very naive. Yes. He just believes in people and believes in honesty and believes in the truth. And because of that behavior, he pays dearly.
Well, we're out of time. Thank you for watching. Check us out anytime on the American Medicine Today YouTube page. And we'll be back next Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on Newsmax. If you have any comments or questions, contact us at the number below. You can tweet at Dr. Bonati using hashtag American Medicine Today or hashtag AMT. We would like to hear from you.